My name is Holly and I am the community manager here at Run for Something. Today, we are going to think about what the first steps are to take when considering a run for elected office. If you're now thinking about running, a good place to start is runforwhat.net. This website is a portal where folks thinking about running can find some really great information, including a nationwide list of offices that are currently on the ballot in your particular area. Each of these findings that you find in your search is going to have the filing requirements for the open positions that are listed, and it will also have ballot access details. It's a really great way to get started. Another thing you can do is check out and be familiar with your election agency that will administer the race you're interested in. They will be your resource to know the rules, qualifications, and other important foundational information that you need to set up your run for success. Most information you need will be on their website, and you can also call or visit their office for more information. Before setting up your campaign or even deciding to run, take some time to reflect. Start by identifying the who's, what's, and why's that are converging and triggering your interest in running. Thinking through the 3 W's now will help you be a much more effective candidate later, because you are going to be asked why, who are you, and what are the issues that are important to you every single day of your campaign. And people are moved by stories. So this narrative that you craft will be the foundation for all the communications over the course of your campaign. So let's start with who. As a candidate, you should be able to give insight into who you are as a person and who the people in their community are. You'll want to share a deeper sense of who you and the people you want to serve are. Standout candidates are able to convey clear stories of self, meaning a narrative overview of the experiences, challenges, and triumphs that went into making you the person you are today. Standout candidates are also able to impart clear stories of us, an understanding of the shared values and experiences that bind your community together. And voters and the people in your community should be really left with a vivid sense of what the community and its people mean to you when you are running for office. Next is what. Think about what the key issues facing your community and you. What are the issues that you care the most about? And what can be done to address those issues? This doesn't mean you need to write up lengthy policy proposals or have a solution for every conceivable problem, but you should be able to tell voters what issues you care about and how those issues impact you and your community's quality of life. You can also talk about what can be done to address those issues. The other thing you should think about in the what section is, what are you doing about those issues now? Maybe you're a renter in an area where long-time, lower income residents are being forced out by developers and gentrification. And maybe you've organized with your community, you've advocated in city council meetings, and maybe you've decided with your community to run against the developer-backed incumbent as the next action in your strategy. So being able to speak to how you are involved in your community before you decided to run is an important part of your story and shows that you are already invested in the solutions to the issues that mean the most to you and your community. Finally, think about your why. Why you and why now? How your identity, lived experiences, and commitment to your community's shared values will combine and lead to a deep understanding of the solutions for the core issues affecting your people. And when you tie in the who's and the what's, it should tell us why you are prepared to lead your community and why now is the time for you to do it. Again, thinking through the 3 W's now will help you be a much more effective candidate later, because you are going to be asked all of these questions: who, what, why, every single day of your campaign. And again, people are moved by stories. This narrative that you craft will be the foundation for all communications over the course of your campaign. Now let's talk about what it takes to run. And we want you to know, first and foremost, that we will help you figure it out. Once you've decided what office you want to run for, you should focus on figuring out what it will take to win. Here are our 5 top tips. Vet yourself, know the rules, know your win number, have a plan for voter contact, and you should know the cost of your race and fundraise. Note that these topics could be a training on their own, and we are going over them in a matter of minutes. Take this as an overview and first step to understanding these key actions in your future campaign. I can't emphasize this enough. You are going public. So it's important to vet yourself. What does that mean? Someone is going to see your name, whether that be on a flyer, a digital ad, on TV maybe. The first thing anyone is going to do when they see your name and they're curious is Google you. So Google yourself, see what pops up, and also clean up your social media. If there are photos of you that maybe in the past you were proud of, but maybe right now it doesn't reflect your current values, think about archiving those posts. Perhaps you've also tweeted some opinions about other candidates or Democrats or progressive folks. Know that those statements might be run in an ad down the line. And so really think about the image you want to portray that is authentically you. So vet yourself, take anything down that won't be helpful to you and to your campaign, and also consider having a few friends vet you on your behalf as well and see what comes up. Next is know the rules. You want to learn the qualifications and requirements for getting on the ballot. Like I mentioned earlier, make sure you check out the election agency administering your race. So that could be the Secretary of State, the county clerk, city clerk, local election board. It really depends on where and what office you're running. These folks are going to help you find key information, key rules, filing dates, and anything that you need to know in order to be on the ballot and to run your campaign according to the rules. One of the worst things in particular that can happen is that you get knocked out of a race or disqualified for not following the rules. So things like not having enough petitions or you didn't file your paperwork on time. So it's important to know the rules and the steps to get on the ballot and qualify for office, including meeting any residency requirements. You should also find out what your financial disclosures and reporting deadlines are. It's helpful to have a treasurer or someone on your team support you with this, but as a candidate, it's important for you to be aware of campaign finance rules and reporting deadlines. You want to learn what disclaimers are also required on your materials. Win number, this is big. You will need to calculate the number of votes you'll need to win, also known as the win number. Again, this calculation, for those who haven't done it yet, it's actually quite fun to do, in my opinion, but it is based on the current voter registration totals and past turnout. And this is a crucial step. This will help you figure out how many voters your campaign will need to contact and how much money to raise. And if you've not done this step before, you can find past voter turnout data from the election agency administering your race. And when you access that information, look for turnout numbers from comparable elections. So if you're running during a midterm election, get data from midterm elections. If you're running in a presidential year, get data from presidential year elections. And check for things that can throw your turnout projections off and add buffer to your win number. So for instance, here we have 52% as our win number. And when I mentioned earlier, what are some of the things that could throw off your numbers? An example could be maybe the city council just approved doing district races instead of all of their seats being at large. That is going to drastically reduce the number of people you're going to need to engage, likely. And from there, you're going to make a list of voters. It is not enough to have a win number. You need to do something with that win number. It's kind of like a goal, right? In order for you to meet your goal, you have to take actionable steps to get to that goal. And so one of the things that you can do is make a list of voters and target them. You're going to need to access a voter file in your area, something like Van or Vote Builder or a similar program. And you can use these programs to target and contact your likely voters. After you've found your win number and targeted your voters, you'll need to assemble a team, and that is usually volunteers. Some people also hire staff. And when you start out with volunteers, it always starts with your core networks. Running for office is going to require you to ask your friends, family, and your ride or dies to help you out. Why? Because you need volunteers to win, period. They're going to call voters with you, help organize house parties, fundraisers, knock on doors, send text messages, and the list goes on. And finally, the cost of the race is something that is really important to think about. Start by looking up how much others have raised and spent in the past to run in your particular race. You can find most of the financial disclosure forms and how much people raised from the election agency. They're going to be your best friends from the election agency administering your race. This will be an important starting point for what you think your budget should look like. You also want to get familiar with your local campaign finance rules. So look again at your administration, the election administration that will be administering your race to find out that information. And once you figured out your budget and how much you need to raise, you're going to need to raise that money. So you want to Rolodex yourself, meaning putting all of your information about your personal contacts into one place. So that could be an Excel sheet, a Google sheet, Airtable, whatever works for you that will help you track the data. And figuring out what and how much you think you can ask of each of the people you are listing on your list. For instance, if you are listing cousin Jennifer on your list, it's like, okay, can I ask that person for $25? And when you call them, you ask for 25, and maybe they might say, hey, I actually want to give 30 or 40. You're going to have another column on your sheet for pledged and another column for received. And so this is a really great way to Rolodex and keep track of your contacts and your fundraising, at least initially. And you really want to get comfortable with asking people for money and doing call time. This is another ask that is really important to get comfortable with, in addition to asking people to volunteer. And what really helps candidates, in my opinion, is changing your mindset around why you are asking for money. You aren't asking for money personally. You're asking people to invest in your vision of a better community and a better future. And that usually helps shift the energy and helps the money to flow in. Thank you for watching, and I encourage you to watch the next video, Fundraising 101. If you don't already, feel free to follow us on Instagram and Twitter so you know when upcoming events are scheduled and to learn how to apply for endorsements once you are on the ballot. Good luck, and know that Run for Something will be there to support you every step of the way.